Okay, students, good afternoon. My name is Mr. Monroe, and we're going to learn about seasons. So that word seasons, it describes, I guess, certain times of the year when we kind of have the weather that we expect to happen during that time of the year. And well, I know there's times of the year when it's really hot. There's times of the year when it's just so-so, it's warm. Times of the year when the temperature cools down and it's kind of cool. And then there's a time of the year that it's really, really cold. And you know what? While I'm going through my presentation with you, while you're with me, I want you to take some things into consideration. I want you to think about some things. First of all, we know that there are seasons that have names. There's a season that we call fall. So I want you to try to remember, after we go through the presentation, what season comes after fall. Also, when I start giving you descriptions of what's happening during each season, I want you to pick out your favorite season. Now, I have a hard time picking out my favorite season because I think I've got two. They are tied with each other. I like both of them the same, but I'm not going to delay in time because I only got so much time with you. I'm going to get started by sharing my screen with you and starting the presentation. So bear with me. The 4 seasons, that tells us right there that there are actually 4 times of the year when we can kind of get an idea of what the weather is going to be. And not just the weather, it also, those seasons will tell us that, man, the amount of daylight or the amount of hours that we will have the sun. So let's get started. Okay, here we go. You know, what is the season? Well, I try to describe that, but this will even help you more. A season is one of 4 periods in a year. Each season lasts about 3 months. Well, that's roughly 90 days. In each season, there are changes in temperature, how hot and cold it is, and the weather, and the length of daylight, which is very important to everyone that lives on our planet, even the animals. Why do we have seasons? Why do we have those different times of the year when certain weather patterns come in? Well, basically it's caused by the Earth's position in relationship or relation to the sun. We know that the sun is the source of heat and light energy for our planet. And so our planet kind of has a tilt to it at an angle. It doesn't sit straight up as it is moving around the sun. So there are times when locations on our planet may be tilted close to the sun, and there are times when it may be tilted away from the sun, okay? And so basically it depends on, as the Earth moves around the sun, it does move that tilt. Sometimes it can be closer and sometimes it can be further away. And that allows for the heating, uneven heating that creates our season. So why? Some places are close to the center of our Earth, near the equator. Now that word equator describes a very special line that separates the top half from the bottom half of our planet. Now it's an imaginary line that actually says that's the top half, that's the bottom half. Well, locations that are close to that equator, they don't really tilt that much. So guess what happens? They really don't have a season. And that's because these places do not move closer or further away from the sun. They basically stay the same distance. Because of this, these places stay very warm all year round. And you might say that about the top part and the bottom part of our planet, because they don't get a lot of the sun's light and heat energy either. I mean, it's constant. So it stays there, cold there all the time. What are the four seasons? Well, there's autumn, winter, spring, and summer. And in these images, you can see, you can about pick out, well, I think right here, this would be spring, don't you? How about over here? I think this is summer. And up here, they built a snowman. I think that's winter. And I see right here, looks like they're gathering leaves, piling up leaves, raking leaves. So you know what? Sometimes we refer to autumn as actually fall, simply because the leaves at that time will start falling from the tree. Okay, so autumn can also be called fall. During this time, during autumn, the leaves turn colors of red, yellow, orange, and brown. It can be very colorful. I know sometimes when it's fall out here at the Environmental Ed Center and we look over to the Post Oak Preserve, you will see a lot of leaves that are showing those colors, and it kind of livens up the forest. The weather begins to turn colder in the autumn or fall, and that's a great relief because our summers here in North Texas are really, really warm and hot. And so a lot of people look forward to that season. I know I do. That's when the air temperature is beginning to cool down a little bit. Now, when winter comes, wow, winter is a different story. I noticed that when winter comes, it gets dark around 5 o'clock in the evening. And that's because it is the coldest time of the year and we don't get as much sunlight during the day as we would in any of the other seasons. In fact, they say during the month of December, in fact, December the 21st, that is considered the shortest day of the year. And on that day, we have less sunlight than any other day. Snow falls in the winter. Now, we don't get a lot of snow here in North Texas. Where I'm originally from in northwestern Oklahoma, we did get a lot of snow. So we do get it every once in a while. You know, ponds and lakes freeze in the winter. And Mr. Ramirez showed you our pond. It did have some ice on it. And that's because we have freezing temperatures. So what does that tell you? We're in winter. Christmas is also in winter. And I know that's a lot of you students' favorite holiday. You're out for winter break and it's a giving time. It has a lot of meaning. It is a very special holiday. And it happens in winter. After winter ends, then we move into the next season of spring. And that's a very special season. That's the other season that I like, simply because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. Spring, actually, during that time, we are supposed to get a lot of rain. And I hope this spring we get a lot of rain because we need some rain right now. So we got that to look forward to. And during the time that we're getting that rain, flowers begin to grow. And I often refer to spring as the growing season because plants and trees, they begin to wake up. The leaves begin to grow on the trees at that time. And of course, you already know that flowers are going to start growing. The weather starts to get warmer. And just like I said before, it's not too hot and it's definitely probably not too cold. It's just very, very pleasant. And then we move into the summer. Now, summer is considered to be the warmest time of the year. I would probably change that word warmest into the word hottest because I feel like where we live in North Texas, we get some very hot days. So I would consider it the hottest time of the year. The water gets warm, so you guys can start going swimming. And there is no school unless you end up going to summer school. And that's a good thing. We get a little vacation. And summer is vacation time. Now, there are a couple of activities I want you guys to kind of look at. Maybe your teacher will have you do these. Might have you, might ask you, what are some clothes that we would wear during each season? And be able to say why. Probably based on whatever kind of weather is going to be happening in that season. Also, you might want to draw a picture of things that occur in each season. In which season is Halloween? Try to figure that out. Do a little research maybe. Which season does Easter happen? And which season does Thanksgiving happen in? Now, this last one, Remembrance Day, I'd have to do a little research myself to find out what season Remembrance Day falls into. Okay, guys. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I've got a couple of little friends I'm going to get out. We're going to talk about seasons and how seasons affect them. But you know what? Before I do that, I want to share some artwork with you. I had a grandchild of mine do this artwork. And I gave her the pattern of the tree, and the patterns that I gave were small like this. And I asked her to draw me some trees and fix those trees the way that they would look in each season. And this is what she did. She started out with spring. And of course, I told her in springtime, the trees don't have a lot of leaves, but they will start putting on blossoms, white and pink flowers. So she did her best. She did a pretty good job. And then on this one, in the summer, the trees are full of green leaves. Some of them big, some of them small leaves, but they have green leaves. So she did this one representing the summer. Looks pretty good. And then this one here, she did this one to represent autumn or fall. Remember when I said that the leaves of those trees, leaves of the trees during that time or during that season are going to be orange and yellow and red, beautiful leaves, and then they start falling to the ground. Well, she did this one here to represent autumn and fall. And then once all the leaves fall off and there are no more leaves on the tree, probably the north wind coming was so strong it blew the rest of them off and they all laid on the ground here. That represents winter. She did a pretty good job. I think she did. Now, talking about animals that are affected by seasons. Well, I got a little animal that if you guys were here today and we were taking a walk into the Post Oak Preserve, well, we probably wouldn't see one of these. Because what season are we in now? We're in winter. And this morning, it was like 31 degrees. That was below freezing when I left home. Well, you know what? The little three-toed box turtles that live in our Post Oak Preserve, they belong to a family of organisms or animals called reptiles. And reptiles don't tolerate the cold very much. They are cold-blooded. So what they do when it's winter, they do like a bear. They will find a place to hide, maybe in the ground, and they go into a deep sleep that we call hibernating. So that's what happens to reptiles during the season of winter if they're out in nature. They will find a place where they can go into a deep sleep or hibernate. When will they come out? Well, they will come out when things begin to warm up in the season of spring. So you see, this just keeps going round and round. Spring, summer, fall, and winter. And then from winter, we go to spring, summer, fall, and winter. It just keeps repeating itself. And so Teresa the box turtle, if she was out in the woods, she would be waking up probably sometime in the month of March, okay? I've got another little animal here too. It's not a reptile, but this is Hoppy Jr. Now, Hoppy Jr. is a bullfrog. This is a young bullfrog. Hoppy Sr., I used to have this large bullfrog, and he was about 3 times this guy's size. But listen, Hoppy Jr., if he lived around the pond right now, do you think we would see him? He's considered to be an amphibian, and they don't tolerate the cold very well either. So Hoppy Jr., if he was out around our pond right now, because it was below freezing this morning and we're in the season of winter, guess what he would be doing? The same thing that Teresa the box turtle would be doing, sleeping in a deep sleep, hibernating until the season of spring. And then when spring comes, old Hoppy Jr., he would be out very active looking for some food. Now, guys, I have run out of time, so hopefully I've been able to help you understand a little bit about seasons and what seasons mean. I want you guys to have a good day the rest of the day.